So good afternoon, hello and welcome everybody to the fourth webinar of Acetech Network Series 2020. I'm Viraj Solkar, and as the brand director of Acetech and on behalf of the entire management team, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you for taking out time and gracing this platform with your presence. Team Acetech would also like to thank architect RAJIV for bringing together this wonderful cross-section of people as they speak today on the upside of this pandemic in a very realistic way. The network series has been generating excellent response, and we are honored with the industry support. Today's session will throw light on some realistic solutions, innovations, creations, and opportunities that lay hidden as we all prepare to step in this new normal. I'm proud to announce more than 2,000 registrations for our today's webinar. Acetech is extremely happy to have introduced this platform, and the next few sessions will see topics like hospitality and retail with some of the finest speakers in the industry. I'd like to thank our series sponsor Shinix India for all its continued support. We have a short AV on Shinix.
Bull.
Shinix Glass Mosaics, the blend of art and technology.
That's Shinix India, associate sponsor for the series. Our panel today covers the most interesting sectors of our life, ranging from films to fashion, architecture to construction, and the superheroes of today, doctors. I'd like to request our chairman, Mr. Gandhi, to introduce this dynamic panel and speak a few words.
Afternoon, friends, and all the respected panelists joining us from all over the country. I welcome you all to the prestigious platform of Acetech Network Series 2020. As the world is going through a serious pandemic, the business and operations across the globe have come to a standstill, leaving all of us to adapt to the new means of communication networking as the world is more active than ever, and we learn to make inroads to this new normal and transform this into an opportunity. Acetech, being the largest networking platform in the country, understands the current situation, and we are proud to bring together the industry through this unique webinar series called Acetech Networks. It's a platform which has seen thoughts evoking from some of top leaders in architectural, construction, manufacturing space. And today I'm very proud as we cross sectors to bring in a different perspective to this series. Every webinar has heard views from different industry leaders. We believe it has infused much needed positivity in this time of crisis. Today's session is going to open a new horizon for all of us. I thank Raj for putting this up with Viraj and team. Without further delay, I would like to take all our viewers through this young and dynamic panel. RAJIV PAREKH, founding partner at RED Architects. RAJIV is the founding partner at RED Architects and has experience of working with firms in New York and Mumbai. RAJIV has received his master's in architecture from Pratt University Institute in Brooklyn, New York, registered with the Council of Architecture and Indian Institute of Interior Designers. RAJIV worked on projects such as restoration of heritage structures, community housing projects for non-profits, redevelopment of older buildings using additional FAR, and interior design of sports club complex. Over time has developed an expertise in construction techniques, detailing and code compliance issues, prone to questioning all aspects of the design and determined to work through the issues related to realization of a design intention. RITEISH DESHMUKH, our next speaker, needs no introduction and is one of the most loved actors in the Indian film industry. RITEISH DESHMUKH is an actor par excellence and producer who mainly works in Hindi and Marathi cinema. In 2013, RITEISH made his debut as a film producer with a Marathi film, Balak Palak, under the banner of his production house, Mumbai Film Company. The following year, he made his acting debut in the same industry with the action film Lal Bihari, which was one of the highest grossing Marathi films and broke many records. Mr. Deshmukh also holds a degree in architecture from Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute for Architecture and Environmental Studies. His recent releases include Total Dhamal, Houseful 4, and Java, and the super hit blockbuster of 2020, Baghi 3. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. ABHISHEK Somany, MD Somany Ceramics. ABHISHEK Somany is a third-generation entrepreneur and a true leader with remarkable experiences, currently spearheading the entire gamut of operations at Somany Ceramics. He's been the long-standing MD and growth driver for Somany Ceramics Limited for almost 2 decades now. Under Mr. Somany's leadership, Somany Ceramics has grown to become an industry leader in ceramics, bagging many prestigious awards and global recognition. He's also been recognized in the Power Brand Hall of Fame as a corporate leader of the ceramics industry for 2011-12. Mr. Somany's prowess as a ceramic industry magnate has also earned him a membership on the executive committee of FICCI. Dhaval Ajmera, Director Ajmera Group, He has pursued his MBA in finance from Cardiff University, United Kingdom. Dhaval is spearheading the division of marketing and sales for Ajmera Group. Today, under the strong and able leadership of Dhaval Ajmera, the group, Ajmera Group, has risen to newer heights. Under his supervision, the company has strong presence in India, Bahrain, and the United Kingdom. Under his leadership, the company has achieved so many accolades and always striving to do new heights both nationally and internationally. He's also a leader of the youth wing of the Credai West Zone, and under him, there are approximately 1,000 young developers from all across Western India. Sandeep Khosla, Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosla. Sandeep Khosla was born in Kapur, Punjab, and educated at the prestigious Doon School, where he excelled at the extracurricular, especially drama. A commerce student at college, it soon became clear that his passion lay elsewhere. He began with designing leather accessories and soon shifted to fashion, moving to Delhi, where he opened a small boutique designing women's wear. Adventurous and exceedingly ambitious, he decided to move to Mumbai, the city of dreams. It was here where his destiny brought him and Abu Jani together, and the rest, as they say, is history. In 1986, two men with no formal qualifications in fashion design took an impulsive decision to combine forces and create couture. With a paltry 1 lakh as investment, a gracious gift from their parents, they began their mission to create the finest. Sans compromise and without cutting corners, with impossibly fine craftsmanship and devotion for regeneration and reinvention as their guiding principles, their creative expression has seen them become the most coveted high fashion brand, from iconic stars to business bads, international rock stars, and Hollywood. Abu Jani Sandeep was the first choice for their discerning luxury client. In the mid-90s, they began their work in interior design and have completed more than 20 residential projects. They were also design consultants for T2 at Mumbai International Airport. Event design too has become their forte. Dr. Abhay NENE, spine surgeon. Dr. Abhay NENE is one of the best spine surgeons in Wokat, South Mumbai, New Age. Dr. Abhay NENE graduated from University of Mumbai, from where he completed both his MBBS and MS in orthopedic surgery. After his higher surgical training in orthopedic surgery, most of his forays overseas have been centered on gaining expertise in the field of spine surgery in centers of great repute in centers across Germany, the United States of America, United Kingdom, and Singapore. In the course of his career spanning 16 years, Dr. Abhay NENE has been the recipient of various international awards. I wish you all a very good session ahead. Over to Rajiv.
Hi, everyone. So, yeah, a lot I heard from Sumit. I did not know about everyone on the panel, though I do know most of you all personally as well. I think the idea is I'm going to try and sort of run through questions with each one. Feel free to sort of put your inputs wherever we sort of feel there's an opinion to give. I think everyone else is on mute. So if you want to say something, just unmute yourself at your own discretion. So broadly, today's idea, at least when I started the thought of this panel, was to look at the silver lining, was to look at a way that COVID is going to force all of us to innovate and change in the long run, but it has an upside. I mean, everything that has a downside has an upside. It's like in every crisis, there is a sort of opportunity. I think someone far more smarter and more famous than me said it once. So I'll start with RITEISH. So RITEISH, and I think I'm going to focus on each person and their industry specific question. But again, like I said, all of us watch films, all of us try to be fashionable and cool. Sumit exceptionally fashionable, all of us not so much. But so we can comment on anything, So RITEISH, I think from the film industry, what do you think the innovations that will come into the space to allow people to go back to theaters, go back to watching movies in the traditional format, where you have your popcorn, your samosa, your drink? What are the innovations that the theaters or like the Inoxes, the PVRs will have to put into play to allow people to feel safe and comfortable to revisit the theater?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on this panel, and it's really wonderful to meet everyone, discuss this issue. And this is my first webinar, thanks to my dear friend PAREKH, who insisted and forced me that I should be here. I was trying to get out of it, but I'm glad I'm here. So interestingly, Rajiv asked about cinemas and how do we get back to theaters. Let's understand that considering the fact that it's going to be a lifestyle change for a lot of people in the long-term process. Of course, we are hoping that we have a vaccine soon, and whatever learnings we have in this process, we don't go back to our old life. of doing whatever we want to do. In terms of hygiene, in terms of few little things that we need to get into our lifestyles, and I'm sure that change is necessary in terms of the way we design stuff, commercial spaces, houses, institutions. All these things need to come into play. Specifically to theaters, which Rajiv asked. So having discussed a few things with people from PVR, Inox, and Carnival, and all the multiplex, they are eager to get back, and people are not too sure whether do we want to go into a place where there's crowd or do we not want to go. So what are the innovations that they are making in terms of so staggered seating? So probably if a multiplex is run at 100% occupancy, can we run it at 60%? Can we just have one seat and leave two seats together, or a family of five that come, they stay together, they can sit together, then again leave two seats and seating. So that dynamics and that mathematics needs to be worked out. Everyone in the theater that comes in needs to have a mask, sanitizers everywhere, probably use fabrics, and I don't know what kind of innovation in those aspects can happen. How can you probably sanitize or fumigate the entire theater within two screens that are going to, so that's going to take a longer period of time. Of course, they spoke about how all the taps, like I know PVR is currently shifting all the taps to all sensors, doors to be automatically open, so less of hand contacts wherever possible. People standing in queues have a 6 feet distance with circles plastered on the floor. So all these innovations are happening as far as I know, whatever I know of theaters. But having said that, when we speak about this, you cannot compare anything that you're watching on TV to a big screen experience. So that is extremely important for people in India. We are film crazy people. How much ever we like to stay at home and have the luxury of content coming at home, that is there to stay. But at the same time, it is important for people to step out. It's an outing. It's just not a movie. It's about coming together. It's about feeling great. It's about dressing up. It's having popcorn, and even the food. What they are they're going to have pre-packaged stuff ready for people to pick up, which is absolutely sanitized. So you may not have the regular samosas dished out the way they were, but innovation of the food counter needs to happen. So yes, there's a lot for theater owners. It's going to be more expensive. Probably, I don't know how they are going to do it, because if a ticket is going to cost you 100 rupees, now they're going to work at say 50% capacity. Are the ticket prices going to go up? Is the popcorn going to cost you more because it's going to be sanitized, it's going to be plastic wrapped, or whatever. So that's to be thought about.
Okay. There's one more question I'm thinking of, but I'll come back to that. Basically, I was trying to, based on what you said, is there a connection between the screen size and the screen time? So the smaller the screen, the less amount of time I focus, the larger the screen, the more I can.
So there was a study done which said that whenever you have a big screen, say movies, earlier we used to go for 3 hours, but now you just go for say 2 hours or 2.5 hours. But that's a big screen entertainment. When you come to television, you are okay to watching for an hour television. You're fine. 1 hour, 1.5 hours, that's the time. But the moment screen size goes smaller, on your mobile phones, if you notice, if you have a video that is 1 minute or 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, you're fine. Okay, I have 2.5 minutes. But suddenly, if that video is 7.5 minutes, 13.53 seconds, you think, "Arey, itna time nahi hai mere paas hai. Main itna time main baad mein dekhunga." So your attention to screen time is also going to be different. So if this is a long-term stay, in terms of this is what we have to live with for a longer time, then of course entertainment, the way it's packaged. Because if you notice, earlier Netflix used to have episodes and Amazon used to have episodes worth 1 hour, 1 hour, 5 minutes, 57 minutes. But now currently they're okay with 27 minutes and 30 minutes because they've realized that the kind of time people are spending on that platforms have gone shorter because the screen times have gone, the screen size has gone shorter.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Ritesh. So Sandeep, similar sort of question, but with regards to retail interface for garments. So if you have a store and people are going to come in and touch your garment or try something on, how will sort of retail outlet owners, be it a mall, be it an individual sort of store, how will they kind of ensure that people feel safe coming and doing this? Is it like virtual changing rooms, or how do you imagine this will happen, or what innovation will people in your industry have to take on?
I think, to begin with, Rajiv, will probably be taking people by appointment only, rather than having, people crowding your store. You'll cap them at like maybe 3 or 4 or 5, depending on the size of, if you're a 1,500 square foot store, then you can of course take more people, but not more than a person to serving 2 people. A sales girl will be serving 2. So maximum 4 people in a store at one point in time. I don't suppose they're going to be more than that to begin with. And then if somebody's tried on a garment, it will have to be steam ironed, and probably displayed the next day. So it's free of any kind of this thing. And then it goes. So we'll have to be very careful about people, how they're trying clothes, because clothes is about touch and feel. And you have to wear a garment to understand it. It just can't be done virtually and make you, because you can look quite frightening virtually. And you can look better when you're wearing it on yourself.
Right.
You're more comfortable to yourself when you see it on yourself, as opposed to when you're seeing it virtually worn.
And anyways, I think virtually the camera, I believe, puts on a few pounds anyways, right? So everyone will not be happy looking fatter,
Yeah, and look at me, I'm looking so fucking fat as it is. So here goes.
That's the angle of the camera.
Yeah, that's the angle of the camera. No. Anyways, I really think it's going to change, and we'll have to restrict people, loads of people coming into the store. Usually when somebody's coming cruise or shopping, they usually come in a herd of 12 people.
Wow, really?
And that 12 people syndrome will have to just disappear. It'll have to be mother, daughter, end of story. Another mother and daughter, another day, or maybe a couple of hours later. But 12 women together, or 12 members of a family coming together, is going to be a thing of the past. Thank God for us.
They are not coming to shop, Sandeep. They're all coming to just rub off with your stardom. That's all.
No, I'm not a star at all. RITEISH is the star here.
So Sandeep, basically, ladki aur maa barat leke mat aao.
And bilkul. This is when we first started, Abu used to say, a mother and daughter can come for an appointment maximum. Okay? Not auntie and per auntie and that auntie and ex auntie and, and some uncle and another uncle. And then you have a herd, and you say, what the hell, what's going to happen here? Who's going to take a decision? Nobody takes a decision. No money comes out. Bad business. Just get 2 people out back there.
Okay, but so what happens to the Zaras and the H&Ms of the world?
I think they'll have to do social distancing because their stores are massive, Raji. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So again, they won't have a herd coming in. They'll be having much fewer people coming in, but there'll be queues outside Zara. You saw when Paris opened the other day.
Yeah.
There were queues outside Zara already. Yeah.
But people will touch everything anyways, no? Even if I don't try it, I'll still touch the garment.
You will touch the garment. No, but then you have to steam press the garment, or there'll be some kind of a solution to it. Because with heat, it goes, you see. I mean, you can...
Right.
So you'll have to heavily steam iron the garment or whatever. And then
So I was thinking that, maybe there'll be innovation in the display rack system, or even in the theater seats, where you have some sort of hot air or steam passing through the seats or passing through the garments, periodically.
The only
sci-fi.
On a cinema hall seat is a samosa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Okay.
That's only hot air. But I must tell you, we are discussing all this today. It's
Right.
very, very valid. But I must tell you, Indians as a breed, we are very resilient. We are very resilient, and we can take on a lot. And also, we bounce back with great strength. We don't take anything lying down, and we innovate, find ways, and we get back to normal.
Fair, that is true.
Yeah.
So I'll jump to Abhay now, NENE. Medicine, right? So how do you think, of course, Abhay, when we look at your screen, we think you're a rock star and not a doctor, So, sorry, you're on mute still. Am I also on mute? No. Abhay, you're on mute.
So these days, that's all I'm doing, playing music.
Nice. Yeah. So you were of course saying that, you know, being a spine surgeon specifically, it's a very sort of select job, which otherwise, you know, the man hours you were spending working were close to 18-hour days. And now you're down to like 30% of your time because it's mostly elective surgeries. But in that sense, do you think, you know, so imagine you had 18 hours a day. That means, you know, people desperately needed to be with you. And you, of course, fixed my cervical spine without a surgery. So thank you for that. But having sort of said that, do you think your interfacing or interacting with the clients and diagnostic tools that you currently use versus what you predict, you know, different sort of companies which are into diagnostic services will change or innovate in terms of methods for you to be able to examine a patient with bare minimum contact, or maybe, I don't know. Do you imagine that will change, or do you think like Sandeep said, you need to touch the clothes? Do you still need to sort of physically touch the person or client or, you know, patient,
Yes.
sorry, not client?
You know, there are two corners of our industry. One is the life-saving doctors and one is the quality of life doctors. So we guys are the quality of life doctors, and we are completely comfortable with the current situation because we don't really need to touch and feel. So in a very, very positive way, we've kind of woken up to this idea of telemedicine, which in a prude and in a conservative manner, we were blind to. We used to say, no, I need to see the patient. You know, it's a ego deflating situation where you don't walk into a clinic with 10 patients waiting for you and your appointment's running into 3 months. Here, someone messages you and you say, okay, this evening I'll see you on Zoom. Well, but the service is being rendered, and the client or the patient at the end of the day is happy because most of the discussions that need to go through have gone in. That's one bright spot. The other big bright spot from the angle again of the clients or the patients is that we've come down to a bare minimum of interference or procedures. There used to be, again, it's an open secret in our field, and I can say this in this crowd, that a lot of procedures were being done, you know, outside the realms of the absolute requirement. And you know it yourself, Rajiv, you must have done a bit of doctor shopping and got lots of opinions. And today, because we are scared out of our own skins, you know, to touch and feel a patient or furthermore to do surgery, we've really come down to essential surgeries, and that is a bright spot in a way. I mean, it's a good thing for the society in general. From the perspective of the patients and the people who are suffering, I think this is a big boon, I'm going to say, the lockdown. From the perspective of an egoistic, prude doctor, it's probably you got to align yourself as to, you know, being a common man and be, you know, being okay with the fact that people don't have to wait for you. Like I said, it's an ego deflator. But on the other end of the spectrum, like my wife, for example, she's a COVID warrior, and for them, life has changed on its head. Right. And you know the whole story. I need not tell you about that.
No. But so I'll tell you then. So one aspect is what you correctly pointed out. I went to another doctor, and I won't name him on a sort of public platform, but so I had a fall while I was on a trampoline outside in London, and you know, I reached out to Dr. NENE because he was known through some friends. But after I came back, I went to another doctor because his appointment was, before I could meet him, there were 3 days. So I'm like, rather than waiting 3 days, let me meet another doctor. This doctor has not looked at my report, not looked at my CT, none of it. And there were like 6 different reports which were done in London. And after I came back, he has blindly just met me, and I've just described my event to him. And he said, yeah, okay, fine. I can schedule you in for a surgery in 2 days. You know, I have a slot available. I'm like, no, dude, I want to like, you know, I want to find out what the problem is. If it needs to be surgically sort of dealt with, so be it. But I think I do think, you know, patients will really appreciate that, you know, procedures only, like interventions to the degree necessary will be prescribed, which is critical. And I think, you know, your wife is at Bombay Hospital, right? Dealing with the whole COVID ward. So I think some interesting facts come out of that. So please salute to her. And, I think you've been quarantined in the cool room with all the music instruments. So you're not allowed to go out. She has the rest of the house whenever she comes home.
That's a bright spot, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Abhay. So I'll jump to ABHISHEK now. So ABHISHEK, of course, is Somany tiles, you know, sanitary ware. So I think you are at the place where people are going to be really clamoring outside you, waiting in lines to get a wash basin and a tap so that they can install it and start washing hands more often. You know, but jokes aside, I think, how do you think, you know, your industry will give us innovations in terms of touchless interfaces, I know, which have already existed, but even surfaces which are resistant to all sorts of bacteria, viruses, things like that. So, what do you imagine you will and your research team will innovate in that direction?
So yeah, so we're in three categories, which is bath fittings, sanitary ware, and tiles. I think more of the innovation will happen where one is more in contact with the product, which is bath fittings and sanitary ware. So in bath fittings, like RITEISH already mentioned, most of the movie halls are moving. In fact, all public spaces, whether it's malls, etc., offices, will become mandatory to go either sensor-based taps, or there are also now pneumatic taps which are available. So you can press with your leg and the water comes out. Forget the sensor-based tap and the pneumatic tap, but it's actually even saves a lot of water, because you're not wasting that much water. In an airline, when you go into an aircraft, you in the bathroom, when you press that button, it only gives that much amount of water, which is enough for you to wash your hands. So that's a good innovation. It's a wake-up call for pretty much everybody. This should have been there a long time ago. So for example, in Australia, it is mandatory to have waterless toilets. You do not have a water-based toilet in the entire continent of Australia.
Wow.
In public places. So stuff like that will happen even in India. As far as sanitary ware is concerned, if a lot of us who've traveled abroad, specifically Germany, you would have noticed in some of the airports where a wipe comes out and cleans the seat before you sit in public toilets. Pretty much every single time you flush, the wipe comes out, which is sanitized, and it cleans the seat. Stuff like that will get now something which you'll see. Toto already has something like that, which is a competing brand. We still don't have it, but it's going to be very soon that we would come up with something like that. On the sanitary ware, of course, again, touchless flushing systems will become a norm. It would be slightly more expensive, would become a norm. As far as tile is concerned, I think that's a big bright spot for us. So, for example, if Dhawal was making an apartment or a building for commercial real estate, specifically if he was selling it to an IT firm, they would necessarily use carpet. I think that's the most, in an Indian continent where it's damp and warm, carpet is a no-no. Very hard to maintain, full of dust, full of viruses. So I think tiles will become a norm. It's the easiest, most efficient, and of course now designs have gone out of the roof. I mean, we can give you pretty much anything you want in any format. So there's a bright spot for tile as far as that is concerned. Most tiles are completely non-porous. In fact, 99% of the tiles are 100% non-porous. So therefore, bacteria anyway doesn't sit. We are doing antibacterial tiles and all of that, but mind you, they're not anti-COVID tiles. So they do let the bacteria settle less. But then in India, please realize that we're mopping with across the home, and by the time you get to the end of the room, the mop is dirty. So that's having a lot more bacteria than the damn tile. So take it with a pinch of salt, but I think tile will become a norm because it's super, super cool and super easy to clean and use.
So I think the theaters will have to go for tiles instead of carpets. Dhawal will stop using Italian marble in his projects, and Sandeep stores will have to go to tiles as well. So, but that's interesting because I know in Japan you see Toto in every, like you stop in a pit stop, in a remote road, like a small hole in the wall bathroom, but it's still a Toto self-cleaning WC.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they got the government to specify they have to use it, or I don't know what, but it is self-cleaning. I think sanitary fixtures will be a pretty cool addition.
Absolutely.
So Dhawal, since it leads directly to you, what Abhishek said, how are you guys sort of, I know, like we briefly spoke that you're working with your architects and, design development and, projects are going for approval, etc. So you've gotten used to the idea of working across screens with your team of consultants. But in that range, what are the innovations that your design team or your collaborators are already sort of implementing in upcoming Ajmera projects?
Thank you, Rajiv. Firstly, thank you, Acetech. Thank you, Sumit, for inviting all of us over here. First time I've been here and we're having such a variety of panelists from different fields. So it's great to interact with everybody. Having said that, Rajiv, you're right that, with this today's, change, which is, maybe, subconsciously, I feel everyone was, as doctor also said, that there was telemedicine always available. But we never, took it up, or we never, used it. But today now we are forced to use it and, be part of it, or compulsory make this as a part of our routine business proposition. So it really has helped us a lot in terms of, working. And then, while we are forced down in our own homes in Bombay specifically, where, last 65, 70 days you've been home and then you've been working around. So I think that has helped a lot of us. But at the same time now, when we look at what will be our future projects, because, okay, somebody staying in a bungalow can be safer, more safer than somebody staying in a building where, there are 500, apartments, or so subsequently 2,500, 3,000 people living together in one colony, or, one complex. So I personally feel there will be norms which will be coming up. And then, whereas we've decided a few, like as Abhishek was saying, you have the touchless, wherever we can go, basically have a complete touchless system, we would definitely do that. Like, obviously the lifts will become automatic, without a touch. You can probably, with a QR scanner from your mobile, you go into your own apartment, your entries to your to your buildings become completely touchless. So all those systems where you have a common areas, you definitely do. We even are now thinking, many developers today are thinking to have like a self quarantine center, or a kind of a WeWork center coming in your complexes.
Nice.
Because probably people would want to now have this norm of work from home, which I personally feel will become a reality, but not too much. I feel that it will be probably maybe 10, 15, 20% of our workspace will be working from home, but 80% would have to be physically present in their office space. For maybe two reasons. I feel that, not everyone in Bombay is having a privilege to enjoy a 2,000 or a 3,000 square feet apartment where you can have a separate office room for yourself without any disturbance. Even honestly, today we all struggling in all our homes to work from somewhere a quieter place, because there are kids running around, and you have the other things happening in the houses. So I feel that there would be some design norms coming in around places, like, maybe you have like a small kind of a WeWork kind of a center in your clubhouse, or where you can probably go and sit down and work, if you have to just be in your and not compulsorily be at your workspace. And also like in place, specifically also in places like Bombay, probably in design architects and today we are also talking for our future projects to have something like a very small cozy place in one of your living rooms, or probably a bedroom or somewhere else, but which can help you sort of makeshift home work kind of a place, which obviously would not completely replicate, but at least somewhere makeshift can. So these are some design norms which I see definitely coming around in places. While in commercials there are as we've been today, when I was just in one of our complex at Times Square in Andheri, where we have around 4,000 people working in different offices. We are trying to see, and becoming a challenge, how do we see that how do we avoid the touch feel from the time you come in or till the time you enter your own offices. And so we are trying to make some sensor based applications and things like that, which will now, I think, will become like an amenity, a standardized amenity. As Abhishek was saying, that earlier vitrified tiles to a developer was a luxury, but now it's like a standard thing which everyone gives, and it is like a norm. So that way these kind of things will become a norm in a real estate project, be it residential, be it commercial, be it anything which will will be required and will be the need of the hour.
Right. So I think that's interesting. I think it would be nice to see co-working spaces as a part of your common amenities, or a quarantine space shared by the entire building, or even maybe testing labs, or less.
Dhaval, can I just hop in for a minute here? Dhaval, I want to know, would you be redesigning your buildings, taking in what we're going through in our buildings at the moment? You know what I mean? There's no space to move outside of our homes. In some of the buildings, you can't leave your 1,000 square feet or 500 square feet apartment. There's nowhere to go out. Would we be thinking of doing balconies in the future, or would we be thinking of doing terraces or common places where at least people can come out to just breathe? Because during this lockdown, we almost felt claustrophobic in your own homes.
That's a very good question, Sandeep. Unfortunately for a city like Bombay, everything, how space is so expensive and things are becoming, but definitely, balcony is an option, because if like our projects in Bangalore would not survive if there is no balcony. Every
True.
project, every apartment needs a balcony. So same way, I think now in Bombay, having a balcony would become a norm and would come up in the new places where you should compulsorily be allowed to give, because eventually if I give a balcony, that adds into my FSI, which adds into my cost and making the apartment more expensive. But
Yeah.
I think going forward, the government is in talks to come up with places, things like balconies being free, and then which you can provide this as an amenity, and that can be enjoyed, because Bombay definitely.
Dhaval, do you think that say the UD department or the BMC specifically, I'm talking about Mumbai and other metros, of course, that they make a norm for even older buildings to give them extra free space to be built somewhere, so that they can use, because cities where Mumbai or bigger cities, every developer, everyone is fighting for each inch of an FSI that's to be used and consumed. We have seen normally smaller developers, making use of that rule and capturing and selling it illegally and all that thing. But now that we are in a situation, and mind you, right now we are talking about not that this is what the future is going to be. We are hoping that there's a vaccine coming. We are hoping that many of us will develop immunity to the disease, and life will go back to normal, and this is not the new normal that we have to live with. But of course, there will be a certain thing that we have to make sure that we are ready for the next pandemic that might come from anywhere. We are better prepared for it than what we were this time. In that aspect, do you think that if government takes initiative or BMC takes initiative giving that extra FSI for even existing buildings, like Sandeep said, that buildings and societies can come together who can afford, have free FSI and build an extra level or terraces or open space such as common spaces?
So, Ritesh, currently also, if you go to see, in the certain DC rules for the redevelopment of existing societies, for the tenants, you get a 35% fungible FSI, which are free of cost. So you can definitely use it to your, existing societies if you're not going for a redevelopment with a developer or someone else, but you can use that extra 35% for the balconies. Obviously, your structural changes and whatever is required needs to be done, but today also you can use it. So there is a norm which can be possible, but obviously the society needs to come in together. But as you rightly said that, now people are going to realize, and as Sandeep said, that balcony is the need of because in a 500 square feet apartment, you're going to become claustrophobic, staying, 70 days in your own house, not going out, all of that. So definitely balconies would become the need of the hour to just, have the kind of an open space or the breathe or that way.
Yeah, I think we have to curtail our tendency as occupants of these 1,000, 2,000 or 500 square feet apartments to take that balcony and then put windows around it, or hang clothes in it and just make it a. Anyway,
and also, sorry, Rajiv, just taking a minute more. Ritesh, earlier, as you rightly said, that every developer would inch for an extra FSI to use, then completely, maybe legal, illegal, whatever it was. But now, now the government has made this norm so strict in terms of every FSI which you're buying is a cost, and eventually this cost is not affordable today in a city like Bombay to so today at least what we've realized, and we've unless and until the economics of scale in terms of sellability of the space or the project is not moving out, we are ready to sacrifice the FSI, because eventually you make your cost on project or on a paper very nominal, but eventually if you're not able to sell, maybe like just giving an example, if you have a 40, 50, 70 story building having one bedroom apartment, it's like somebody can't afford to have the maintenance of a 70-story tower of a one bedroom, because it will be, a person who's bought a one bedroom, would he be able to survive the maintenance cost of that 70-story tower? So that all norms come into picture. Norms, like this will have its way. So it's the economic of scale and the overall picture which would have to be seen while you're constructing. And today, I'm sure that, with the kind of costs which is happening, FSI is no longer a addiction for a developer. It's like kitna kam hai, how much ever you can build, whatever is best for the project you do, but not go to the every last inch or the last mile of the FSI.
But Rajiv, I think if I step in for a second, I think I'll step forward from what Sandeep says. You do get claustrophobic. So I think from an architectural point of view, you'll have to look at a 1 BHK, 2 BHK, which is typically 400 to 800 square feet
Right.
in terms of spaces. So the space would be a gym in the morning and a dining room in the evening, and in the middle it would be an office and a bedroom. So you would have to look at the entire apartment as different spaces because you won't have too much. And the second thing, from a builder point of view, I was speaking to another builder in Delhi. Just like you guys sell parking, I guess work from home is not going to be a norm, but you'll be spending a lot more time at work. At home. Would you be open to the idea of making a co-working space just for the building occupants who can get out of their homes? Like Sandeep said that, you get claustrophobic. So maybe sell a seat there, which is super swanky, just for the building residents. You're comfortable. You know your neighbors. You know all the people there. It could be fun. Get out of your apartment, especially for the middle class income, which truly live in very small apartments. Maybe that would be a norm to sell a space instead of a parking, or both maybe.
A recreational room maybe.
Yeah, like co-work space.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I said, that now that will become like a norm as how you have a clubhouse, you'll have a co-working space kind of a thing going forward in your projects. Maybe 5-seater, 10-seater, whatever. But at least there would be something which will have the best of the amenities, like a WeWork kind of a thing, and then you still enjoy that working space.
Correct.
Great. So I think one thing is that Dr. NENE needs to invest in testing facilities which can be deployed in each building now and collates like a metropolis or whatever. And WeWork has an idea there that reach out to all the developers and start renting space in each building instead of one consolidated building in BKC or wherever. So in that direction, so RITEISH, it could be for any of us, but broadly, do you imagine that if online content consumption is higher and continues to remain higher, does that mean now content producers now don't need to cater to the vagaries of, let's say, how many screens this particular multiplex is able to assign to me, which decides the fate of my movie, how big a hit it will be, or the time slots, or if Rajiv is acting in a movie, then it's going to get one really small little A4 size screen in the corner. And if RITEISH is launching a movie, it's going to get 10 screens at one time, kind of a thing. So the fate of your film, which was otherwise at the mercy of distributors or multiplexes, etc., now you basically get access to a much more global reach. So the business opportunity for other people is that maybe, I don't know, the TV screen manufacturers need to start making 75, 85, 95-inch screens more affordable. Even for a 10 by 10 room, maybe I want to have a 75-inch screen so that I can consume my online content in a bigger screen and therefore tolerate it for a longer time. Or do you think a Netflix should tie up with Swiggy meets, Act 2 popcorn so that it, I go to Netflix and the minute I launch watching a movie, I get a prompt that, why don't you order would you like a popcorn or would you like a samosa pre-packed delivered in 15 minutes to your doorstep, kind of a thing. Like, what are the business opportunities of online, like different people would find within this pattern of consumption in your thoughts?
See, first of all, let's understand that cinema, the big screen entertainment, of course, is on stardom, success of movies, how interesting your film is, how interesting your songs are, how exciting a lot of people would want to go out and watch. When Netflix and Amazon came, they knew that the growth was going to be small. But like you said, that every crisis has a sea of opportunity, and it's really worked for online platforms because people have even subscribed into millions to just sit and watch these platforms. What this platform does, it gives opportunity to various actors. You're not stuck to stars and I want this particular star for this particular, that's the scalability. Platform content is king. You want the best of content. You can get great actors. So small town actors are getting job opportunities. And now that cost is also coming down. So platforms are flooding you with 10 different shows. So it's not about whenever you start a show, like at least for me, I want to watch something, I'm texting 10 friends, अच्छा कौन सा है, क्या देख सकता हूँ मैं इसमें, तू क्या recommend कर रहा है? So recommendation पे जो आ रहा है, and that is at your time. It's not कि आप Friday को opening लगने वाली है, you have to come to the theater, a picture नहीं चल रही है, and now the second film is in line. How my screen will be taken by a new film? So that structure is still going to be there, but online platform gives you the opportunity for other people to watch. So there's opportunity for new editors, new actors, varied content, and you're not restricted to, you can't say this word, you have to say beat to this, you can't show this shot. Of course, there are children content that will be for only children, but there are certain content that we want to consume according to our understanding. We are open to that. Having said that, when you look at producer's perspective, I'm going to produce a film and I'm going to produce a content for a digital platform. When I'm producing for a digital platform, the entire content eventually is owned by the digital content platform. So Netflix will tell you, okay, fine, I greenlight your subject, I will do this, and we'll give you X amount of, say for example, X amount of fee for say 10 crores to make this show, 20 crores to make this show. Now you're making that show, and all you do is you are taking your 8% to 12% or whatever that margin is. So that is what you have. But in films, you own the content, you own the IP, you get a resale to the IP. You can make huge profit or you can make a loss. So that's like a gamble that happens. But of course, profit and loss, that's the kind of business that you're in. Here, it's a job that you deliver. You get certain things, you prepare, and give it. Unless you make a content yourself for series, you go to a digital platform and tell them, I have the series, we want to take it.
Right.
But now you are already invested 10, 20 crores in this, and if the digital, there are 4 of them, they say we don't like it, then what are you going to do with it?
Right.
It doesn't always work that way. So yes, like you said, digital platforms are here to stay. There's Apple coming, there'll be YouTube originals coming. So all this, the sea of opportunity for actors who probably didn't have opportunity to come on screen because of certain saleability or acceptability. But on digital platform, it's more forgiving and more accepting at the same time for actors. So it's great.
I think more than forgiving, would you say courses for horses? Like, would you say that otherwise I was forced to watch the top 10 movies, let's say top 10 gross movies. Instead, maybe there's a smaller film which appeals to A versus B versus C. So I think that is one thing. But what I was actually trying to, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But what I was trying to say is that, is it fair to say that the film industry, maybe in the short term, has a bit of a squeeze, but in the long run, will actually see an explosion? So if I look at numbers, let's say it was I don't know numbers, but let's assume it was 100 or 10,000 crore film industry. Will it become larger or will it shrink? What because of COVID?
The thing about films is you have 52 weeks. Okay. And now every time you release a film, you make 200 to 50, 300 films. So you have already about 3 to 4 films every Friday that are coming. And that's only Hindi language. Tamil, Telugu, and all those films are going to come whenever. And they have a specific window. And our industry, Indian, is about 4.5, 5,000 crores is the industry. Only theatrical. I'm not talking about satellite and everything. But now, interestingly, like digital platforms, every channel, you have कभी 9 बजे ये show आ रहा है, 10 बजे ये show आ रहा है, वो सब बंद होने वाला है. Like digital platforms, all the shows will be there, and you can choose when you want to watch. The only things that will be live are news and sports, because those are the things that you want to watch live.
Right.
Baki sub is not live, it's even better because I come from office at 7:30. Someone is sitting at home at 2 o'clock. He wants to watch it. He'll switch it and watch it. He doesn't have to wait for 9 o'clock to watch a Kapil Sharma show or Kaun Banega Crorepati. No, I'll watch 3 episodes in a row or whatever. So eventually, and also it's great for television because the satellite costs are huge to set up a channel today or a GEC, General Entertainment channel. The setup cost is huge. Now all that cost will go and all you need is great. So for that, what you need is fiber speed, like be it Geo fiber or Airtel fiber or whatever. That kind of internet speed that you have at home, and once you go for 5G, then it will be fantastic for everyone.
Right.
I guess these various channels are more like the IPL to the national cricket. I mean, they've so many new stars will come out of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I think there's a bunch of fabulous talent coming out of that. But I think I've already overdosed on watching television at home. I want to go back to the big screen. I want to experience the big cinema in that big hall. Maybe with with normal actors, maybe with art house actors. But having said that, I want to get out.
See-
I don't want to be stuck at home, and I'm bored of watching Netflix. I mean, how many shows can I watch?
No, Sandeep, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Big screen entertainment is here to stay. It's not going to
Yeah, it can't go away.
on that experience.
Fair.
And
Absolutely.
coming back to the content, eventually when as producers we think what kind of films do we make, whatever. So we have a term called event films. You know, only the event film franchises and even world over. Those are the films that are drawing people for big screen entertainment. Otherwise,
Avengers.
Yeah.
wait for films that have Sandeep's costume just dazzling away.
Yeah. So that was actually my question, Sandeep.
Those are the films people want to watch.
So Ritesh has actually led me into you.
What?
So you're all about grandiose and just completely grand. Like, I mean, one looks at you and thinks of Hindi movies, not you particularly, but Hindi movie costumes and weddings and, like you said, the entire trousseau. But do you think the projection of the person who steps out after 60, 90 days in his track pants and his different sleepwear, do you think the image that they will want to project once they come out will be that of empathy, sustainable clothes, recycled, upcycled, slow clothing, or like, screw it, I'm wealthy and I want to flaunt it. Even if I'm going to the Nukkad to buy one, pan, I want to go in my fancy Sandeep Khosla outfit, So what if no one is having big weddings? I want to wear my fancy clothes.
I think they're going to wear whatever they want to wear. Then they're going to step out of these awful clothes they've been wearing at home because they're all fed up of it. You're out of shape. You don't know what you look like any longer. It's about feeling good. At the end of the day, you all want to feel good, yeah. The parlors are going to have a field day. Everybody wants a manicure, pedicure, haircut today.
Yeah, me and Ritesh have tried to save Baba money by doing what
I
we
know.
want.
You guys have taken the easy way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not all of us can afford that. At your age, you can do it. Yours is going to grow back. Ours is going to go.
I like to say that everybody at the end of the day has home food, but there are takeaways and there are restaurants which are in full swing supplying. So it goes to show that, nothing is, we are social animals and there is going to be 100% need for, people to meet, see. It's an experience which comes in, as Ritesh also put in and you also put in, that when we go out, it is the samosa, it is the buying the ticket and going and watching others, whether restaurants. When in our congested metros and cities, we don't have so many avenues to entertain ourselves. So, we go to restaurants to see others and meet and feel good. And I think I'm with the fact that things are going to get back normal, and India has got that resilience as well. And the feeling of, trying out clothes, or whichever way you go to an LV store and not wearing the shoes and seeing the shoe online, it's the experience which matters. And
But
at
so
the end of the day,
the flip side, the healthcare industry is not a place where you want to go and get a feel of the hospital and want to go and see other patients with you. So actually, for our clients, so to say, they are far better off being at home and seeing the doctor and getting investigated and diagnosed, and rather than getting the feel of the real hospital.
No, doctor. See, when we talk about a meeting with a lawyer, when we talk about a meeting with Zoom and these calls and the way US is working and people are using it. It's an innovation which is not going to go away. People are going to use it. It saves a lot of time. So if I have to do a meeting in Morbi, I would love to do it on a Zoom call because we can discuss. If an architect comes in, I think there is a first a point of meeting which always remain, that if I meet Rajiv and me click over. And then now Rajiv would be prepared in the manner to, give those designs and set up from work from home or whatever we create. I will think very aloud. If the government does not, take this up, there'll be times when Dhawal and other developer friends will come in instead of a clubhouse. They might. I know it's going to crack you up all. And I don't know if I'm thinking out of the box, but I'd love, Doctor, you to hear it. That people would have some kind of, they have a clubhouse and they have a room which will have a basic nurse facilities, like a ventilator, which is 8-10 lakhs or the way the hospitals have collapsed. And it will become a very, very USP if a developer is offering that kind of services, where if there is a minor emergency, this is something which people are experiencing today, that, and the lower strata is suffering. So if I want my boys' domestic help to go out and take it up, that's one thing which we can add, which might be there. Bars might go for office from working space which was already put in, that we should have some space for work where people can go out of the office, and they put it, I believe, then, and they can work within the building, but somewhere like we have a clubhouse, there's a place which probably people can work out of. So there will be certain changes which will come, but I think the whole experience of wearing nice clothes, attending a wedding, going to restaurants, enjoying food, if conferences are to be spoken in my space, I think people will really value that, how important is what that conference really brings online, what value does it add before one invests in travel. Earlier, pre-COVID, we would just at a drop of a hat travel and go and have people moving around. So I think there'll be a lot of changes which will happen in that space. But
you will become more discerning. You'll become more discerning.
Nothing can take.
You choose what you want to do.
Nothing can take away. Yeah.
Everything.
Yes. Nothing can take away the experiential feeling about it. Is the human touch. It's the feel. We don't have virtual babies, and virtual is to an extent. I would definitely love to see how we have virtual houses which we can see. Raji can show me virtually how the complete design and house, but there would be a need for once to meet up or during the course of something like that.
Yeah, but Rajiv does a whole seduction around the house. And he's presenting it.
So do you. What are you talking about?
The same thing that I do and the same that RITEISH does.
You have to see the houses.
But your seduction happened in person, so we don't
so,
admit.
I'll tell you about one thing that Sandeep is doing in Hyderabad. It's only, I mean, I've seen some of his work, but it is beyond spectacular. It is like you walk into that. I mean, what he's designed, I won't let too much out of the bag, but it's 162 panels, each one on a sort of pivot of its own, with lights within, one side brass, one side birds flying, Jonathan Livingstone inspired. Killer. Like it's what he has as in fabrics is what he designs in his spaces, But I think, Sandeep, you might have to tell them to build a clinic in-house with testing facilities and all of that. I think now
I would love to do that. But
gyms, home theaters, testing abilities, quarantine rooms are all built into that 40,000 square foot mansion.
My God, yes. Can you imagine? We'll never go out. It's like one of those Jodie Foster movies where you have a safe house.
Panic room. Yeah.
Escape room. Stay there forever.
But I think, Abhay, what you said is, that the idea that the diagnostics and hospital is probably one thing that people don't want to go to, like movie halls or clothes or, but the hospital is one place which people will definitely want to bring home or bring to the quarantine room in Towers, nicely designed common amenity space or a testing lab, So I think that's one sort of significant thing that I learned, at least from this.
Yeah, but it's all good when it's a quality of life hospital, like I keep saying. But when it's a life-saving hospital, it's not about the ventilator. It's about the person manning the ventilator. So we are not actually short of ventilators. We are short of the system, the skill sets that
infrastructure to man that.
Correct.
There's no point in getting 50,000 ventilators from China and putting them here when there's no everything else that goes around with it. Right. So it's not a reality that you can have a own little ventilator in your apartment and say, oh, if I get COVID,
I'm ready. I'm plugged in. It's like your own little bottle of blood there.
No, it doesn't work so simply. No, it doesn't work so simply.
So Sandeep, how do you, so typically launching a new collection, right, is your fashion show, which is which is, I don't know, twice a year or 4 times a year, but
twice a year.
Twice a year.
Even that, yeah.
So what happens? Do you think that'll get more democratic, There are sponsors associated with fashion shows. There's, timings. There's this whole sort of socializing and, stuff which goes with it. So it's like an event. It's about a launch of a product, but it's also the whole drama around it. How do you think that will change, or is there innovation in that space that you imagine will change the way fashion shows are consumed or the way fashion shows are experienced, or will it become more democratic that you can launch your collection when you want to and I can launch mine when I want to,
I think it become more democratic for sure. You launch a collection when you want to, I'll launch it. And, people have been doing, like Gucci's been doing endless number of lines a year. But they'll go back to doing just a spring, summer and an autumn, winter. As opposed to being, producing clothes all the time and doing various kinds of shows. You will do only 2 shows, maybe 1 show a year. And maybe to begin with, there'll be some virtual shows. But eventually, back to the word seduction, you need to touch, feel, see that wonderful model, aspire. And unless you see them live, there's no fun. And like you said, when you go to a fashion show, you want to look good yourself. You're being judged. You're judging. it's life, guys. We have to be bitchy also sometimes.
Nice. Gives you the
All
option.
the time.
I think so. Yeah. So that's broadly. I'm running out of. So I have two more things. One for Dhaval and one for. So leading to travel. So Dhaval was just telling me that he used to travel because they have projects all over the world. So average 15 days a month he used to travel. Now, so my take on travel is that yes, people will stay away from travel, but at the same time, travel is, let's say, where it's necessary, you will have to travel. But I think one part of necessary is work, but the other part of necessary is also an outlet. Like I know Abhay goes and travels when he's trying to run or cycle across the world or, do all of these physical endurance activities. So it is travel, it is recreation, but it's also a need. There is this need where you go out, and meet different people, interact with different people, eat different restaurant foods, just experience the world. And it may be, and Dhaval, I'm not saying that's what you do, but let's say if you're going on a business trip, it's yes, 10%, 20% of that time is going to be spent on business. 80% is going to be set in accumulating experiences along your journey. So do you think there will be some sort of new way to find this exit that the human soul craves, to travel? And any of you can take that on, whoever feels like answering that.
So I personally feel, yes, travel would now become like earlier it was like, okay, I would say psychologically it was a necessity, but probably with the Zoom calls now it has become like we realize that probably not all travel are required. But at the same time, as Sandeep and, everyone said, that it is the touch feel today when we travel or when we are meeting. We meet personally when we meet so many people. That's when we click. That's when we know each other. Otherwise, virtually today you and me can talk, but probably that click, probably that relation cannot be built in this way. So, and today I personally feel, be it any business, be it real estate, be it acting, be it fashion or whatever it is, you personally need to meet around, or you need to be around, so that how a business whether can I work with him, whether can I do some business with him, or whatever it is. That's your intuition, that's your gut feel, which really tells you and takes you. So I think travel will take a hit, but maybe probably for some time, once you have this vaccine out, and then probably this is like another flu, or then that's where everyone is going to go out. Because as we've been talking and been telling that we as Indians are social animals, and how much ever we say this is all that we loved enjoying, working from home, probably for the first 15 days or 20 days, but eventually today all of us, let's be honest, we want to get out of house, we want to go out and see probably what's happening, or even go to a place like a restaurant, or meet somebody, or whatever it is. So we are going to have this. So eventually this work from home concept, or probably even cinemas to an extent, I would say, yes, it can, OTT platforms will create a large database, but eventually going to theater is where I'm going to enjoy the most. And I don't think those things will ever die. So
And
I
there's
think
clearly a silver lining, Dhaval, exactly what you said, that we are sooner or later going to get out of this. And this is very much going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not a myth.
Yeah.
And you see, when there was tuberculosis, or there was, Spanish flu, we were
Swine
all
flu
going
to
through
an extent,
exactly the same thing. But history will look back at us and say, okay, you guys lived in this time. But
Totally.
5 years from today, it's going to be just another thing, because all of us will have had a shot.
So I agree with
probably
her.
among the lucky lot to experience this, but not like completely be there.
No, I agree with Dr. Nin and Dhaval that we are going back to normal.
Yeah.
And we will be going to houseful theaters again. We'll be going to restaurants. We are going to have our holy parties and Diwali parties and Eid and Christmas, and we're going to celebrate the way we used to. But the most important thing out here is, what are the takeaways that we are going to take from this experience to our own design innovation to make our lives better and to be slightly better. Of course, we are not. See, what we are doing today for seats is like, okay, only 30% seat occupancy. That's going to be today till we have vaccine. After that, it will be 100%.
Back to normal.
Takeaways will be, no touching the toilet doors and no touching your taps, and all the sanitary fittings will be better.
That'll probably get ingrained. Like you said, it takes normally 15 days for a habit to form.
Yeah.
Now, if for 6 months I'm not touching things, probably for the next 6 years I won't touch things.
Yeah.
No, this is India. After 6 months, you'll be touching everyone and everything. So let's just make that when you go to a toilet, you don't have a handle, then it's sensor. Handle doge to touch hi karenge. Ye India hai. Isme kuch nahi hone wala. We have to understand who we are first before innovation.
Absolutely.
You don't give a handle, they don't know you have to touch.
Yeah.
Sensor bhi to handle with you. And I'm telling you, 99% people will be start touching the taps.
Yeah.
If you give them both options.
100% because the sensor doesn't work half the time,
Yeah, this will become like a norm, and it'll be really like how we got used to smartphones, and things came up and people got used to it. That's how I think this is going to now become like a new norm for every one of us to be part of it, or whatever it is in a social public place.
So you tell kids not to touch something, they want to touch it more. It's like a phobia. You want to touch taps the first thing.
So,
guys, public toilets, we need to know. We need a whole class in hygiene first to understand what public, on airline, how a toilet is going to be used.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, it's just awful.
Awful. You first learn not to spit. I think that is, Dr. NENE, can we somehow make it mandatory that people should not spit or we will all die from COVID or something like that?
And this is a great leveler, but once you're vaccinated, you can touch, spit, do anything you want. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a question. I know Mohit I can see Mohit. That means we're probably running out of time, Mohit. But I think my one thing to you was, do you think, so, you told me something about life expectancy, like in the previous pandemics, it was a different life expectancy. Historically, if you look at the 10 big pandemics, while now we're used to a longer life, like we all hope or aspire or stay healthy in the, work out or do whatever, so that we live till 70, 80, 90, 100, whatever, But do you think in the long run, let's assume this takes a certain amount of years to get a vaccine, but is this a precursor? And this is probably the only fatalistic question, which is why I left it for the last, is that, do you think this will affect long-term life expectancy? Will people just in general start dying earlier? Maybe COVID is the first precursor of a virus. There will be other such sort of rapidly mutating viruses.
Which is very philosophical. It's been nature's way of culling our, population.
Correct.
But it's a very philosophical way of looking at it. And honestly, for every problem, mankind has found a solution, whether it's a medical problem or a situational problem. And there's no doubt that we're going to have a solution to this. And there's no doubt that there's going to be a new challenge and we're going to have a solution. And this cycle will keep repeating. So I'm very firmly a believer that this is not going to change our lives forever. And humankind is still going to keep, making its inroads. And I think one of those thought leaders in North America said that our grandchildren are going to live to 120. And I think we're going to still see that day.
Good Lord. So population explosion will continue.
But Rajiv, with the turn of the last century, not this century, but 1900s, we were under 1 billion population. We've added 6 billion people since then. So we've increased our life expectancy, but Earth's life expectancy is only going down with every single kid being born. So, and it's a big takeaway. We got to become more socially responsible.
Right. Okay. So any last comments to say before I sort of surmise the thoughts of...
So I'm going to say be super positive. Don't think of this as the end of the world. This is another opportunity and we're going to find our way around it, come out much stronger at the end.
Absolutely. I personally feel, and we've been said that we've seen such times and issues, and I'm just trying to understand. Ritesh, I was one of the lucky person to work under your dad when he had this dream of making Mumbai Shanghai. And I still remember that. And then, you see today Bombay has grown and seen those kind of massive towers coming in and, those lifestyles coming in. So I think because, India is becoming socially, and Bombay specifically, I would say, is a social animal and people would want to move out. All this would not be possible while we sit home and then probably, just be at our home and virtually see everything. We need to move out to parks, to theaters, to offices, to cinemas, to marriage functions, to events, to conferences, everything. So I think that's where economy runs. That's where you socially grow. That's when you happen. So I think this virus has given us probably an in-home vacation for 2-3 months. But I think we just all wait for the vaccine to get over and then we move on with our lives. And that's how we take it forward. So I am very buoyant and positive. We will find a solution. And then probably there'll be another thing which will come. But as we are humans, we are resilient and we will get an answer to whatever problems we are facing.
But we just have to learn to live with whatever new virus or whatever virus is. We have to learn with it. This is going to be a part of our life now.
So I would like to just end by saying that, we love the OTT platforms and we love watching Netflix and Amazon and Hotstar. But see you at the theaters.
Absolutely.
See you in the stores. The lockdown must end, guys.
And hope not to see you at the hospitals.
I would say my last comments would be see you at my house next time you're in Delhi.
Yes, done.
Till then, everybody is Atmanirbhar.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Yeah.
Thank you, Rajiv, for putting all of us together.
Thank you guys for indulging me. I was just keen on doing a panel which basically reached out and, maybe different business opportunities would come out of this discussion for different industries, So that was the agenda that, if we're all sort of scratching our brains a little bit, maybe there are opportunities that other people can exploit, which maybe we can just talk about, but maybe there'll be other people who will take leads from this and do something more with it than just discuss it. So that was my thought behind doing this. So thank you guys for indulging me. Thank you all of you all.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Rajiv.
Thank you. Love you, Sandeep. Bye, Mohit.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
See you at the movies.
NENE.